We are live. Good morning, everybody in Women Rising Above. Happy Tuesday to you all. I hope you are having a wonderful day wherever you are. We are here for Tuesday chats this morning, so we're very excited about that. And I would love to introduce you to our guest today, Sherri Dumbrell. How are you, my darling Sherii?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
We are absolutely thrilled to have you here today, love, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you and learning about you and your life and learning all about you is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So, as you know, so Tuesday chats, ladies, are to get to know about our members. So I'm going to start off asking you, the first question for you is today, Sherii, is tell us all about yourself. Tell us who Sherii is today.
Yes, well, I'm my parents' jackpot. I was born in Las Vegas, Nevada. And so I keep reminding them that I was their jackpot. and then I traveled to England when I was single, and I met my Aussie husband. And he then invited me and paid for me to come to Australia. That was 32 years ago. And we just celebrated our 32nd anniversary a couple of weeks ago. And so I've been here for 32 years. I was in America for my first 21 years. And so, yeah, I'm more Aussie than I am American, even though I claim both, and I am both. And so I've been here, and then I chose to be a stay-at-home mom. We have 5 beautiful children, and the 6th grandchild due in a couple of weeks. And so, yeah, and so I loved being at home with my children. Wasn't saying it was always easy, and sometimes I went a bit crazy, but yeah, it was something I would never do any differently. And so for the last 4 years, I've been working, had my own business, and so basically I'm giving back to the village that helped me raise my children, because none of us do it on our own. We always have a village. And being a stay-at-home mom, I learned, especially with 5 children, I learned how to be a good time manager and a good money manager, because those are 2 things that you can always have more. You always need more, and you never have enough. And so that's what I decided, that when my kids, they're independent. I actually was raising adults, not children. I didn't want my kids to be children when they grew up. And so I always said I'm raising 5 adults. And so now I can give back to that village and to share my expertise and the things that I've learned to help others maybe navigate that road a bit simpler.
Amazing. Wow. I love that you're raising adults, not children. That's a very, I think that's the first time I've ever heard that perspective. And yeah, I think that's a really good perspective to have. Amazing. And I have to say, did you say 32 years you've been in Australia?
Yes.
You've never lost your accent, have you?
Well, I listened to my husband when we were long distance. That was before email. That was slow. That was letters, and we would do cassette tape recordings. So we would do that. We would send each other, to be a bit more personal, we would record a cassette tape and send to each other. And I have those still, and I listen to them, and it's like, whoa, I have such a strong accent. So I have really lost it. I was supposedly a lot stronger. But yeah, people still ask me if I'm on holiday.
Oh, do they?
And
that's funny. Oh, that's awesome. And I love that. And doesn't it put it in perspective when you say that, it was very different. We didn't have email. We didn't even have email back then. So it was cassette tapes. That's amazing. Goes to show that if love is meant to be, it's meant to be, and we'll find a way.
Exactly. And it's been lovely. We've had a very good, happy life, and I look forward to many years to come.
Oh, that is so beautiful, Sherii. Well, thank you for sharing us a little bit about yourself. Well, obviously, we're going to learn a little bit more as we go along this morning. So tell us maybe what's one of the proudest moments that you've ever had in your life, Sherii.
Okay, one of my proudest moments was In November 2019, right before the COVID thing hit. And it was always my dream to take my family back to America. Now, we had went when my oldest was 12. So in 2003, we went on a trip. And that's what actually started my love and what I'm doing today. But I wanted to do it as they were adults and they wanted to go. And it was my mom's 80th. And so I thought, I'm going to surprise her. And so I took me about 10 months to organize This Is Your Life for my mother. So she lives over in Utah up in the mountains. And so it was all a surprise. And my brother was the guy who did This Is Your Life to her when told her she was going to some concert, and yet it was not. And took her to this big stage, and here's all her friends from her whole childhood and her whole life sitting there. And then it starts introducing her children, and I come out. And she was shocked. Now, she knew I was in the States because I had surprised her 2 weeks earlier on Halloween morning, but as a kangaroo and a koala, my husband, but then we had gone back east. So I came out, but then what she didn't expect is that my 5 children were coming too. Wow. Unfortunately, due to airline changing flights 6 hours before, my kids didn't get there. But I had video, so they were videotaping at the airport and sending it. And so I showed her on stage, one after the other, each of my 5 kids, and they all said basically, see you tomorrow or see you in a week. And so that was probably the proudest moment, is one, just to see my mother's face, because, you know, she hasn't seen them a lot, because it's not, you know, it's a long ways to swim to America. So yeah, I was very, very proud to be a mother of 5 and have my husband there and to be her daughter.
Oh, that is just so beautiful. I can just, as you're explaining that, I can just picture it. I'm getting a little bit emotional because I can just imagine how amazing that would have been. Oh.
It was, and we have it all recorded, of course. And yeah, it's just one of those moments that it makes it all worth it, because I'm into memories. I'm really big into memories. I'm not into stuff. I'm not into buying material stuff, even though I've done plenty of that in my life. And especially once I hit 50, you know, 5 years ago, it's like, you know, memories are what really matter. And so I'm really big in creating memories, because they're the things that make life lovely.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And oh my goodness, what a memory to have. That's incredible. And thank goodness that you were able to do it when you did before, like you say, before COVID hit. So that's an absolute blessing in so many ways, isn't it?
It was. And one of my daughters, she had 1 child, another one had 3. And, you know, she thought, oh, this is a once in a lifetime trip, Mom. And we all saved, you know, we all had our spending plans, and we all saved, paid cash, even came home with money, because we always overplan for the unexpected. And, you know, she was thinking this is a once in a lifetime thing until we finished it and we achieved that goal. And she thought, that's not a once in a lifetime goal. And I said, no, if you have a plan, you can do anything in your life, but you have to have a plan, especially if it incorporates that it's going to cost money. And so we now are planning to go in 2023. Hopefully the borders will be open. And yes, because I think we might go crazy after a month to be isolated in a hotel together.
Oh, goodness. Oh, wow.
Yes. We love each other, but.
Yeah, well, yes. So I think there's been a lot of that going around. We love each other, but yes. Oh, Sherii, that's awesome. So,
yeah, so that's good that I was able to help them see that you can achieve your dreams.
Amazing. That's so beautiful. So Sherii, maybe can you tell us, you know, have you had any, well, I'm sure you have, but what's one of maybe the biggest learning experiences that you've had throughout your life?
Was not to put labels on yourself. And in fact, I was going to have, which I don't, but see those frames behind me, the picture frames? When we have experiences in our life, we tend to frame it. So we put a frame around that event, and then we put we write with a nickel pen on that frame how we remember that. And so it can either be a positive thing or it can be a negative thing. And so when I finished high school, I did good in high school, but then I didn't take the hard classes. So I got A, B's. I was pretty good. Took that test, you know, here they do it, whatever it is here, to get that number.
Yep.
Well, I took that test in the States, and 25 was the highest. So it's kind of the opposite. Here in Australia, you want a low number. Up there, you wanted a high number. And I took that test and I got an 11. And I was like, oh, that must be a mistake because I'm a good student. I'm smart. So I retook the test and I got a 12. And I thought, okay, maybe. And so at that point, and that was to get into university. There was a university I wanted to go to, and I knew that that wasn't going to be enough. And so I put that label around me that I was too dumb to go to university. And so
wow.
I didn't. All my friends went off to university, and I just stayed and worked full time. Then I eventually came here, and it wasn't until my daughter graduated from QUT at Brisbane. And while I was sitting there in that thing, I was so jealous of her walking across that stage. And I thought, and that little voice was saying, Sherry, you're too dumb. You're too dumb. Yet there was a new voice that was saying, Sherry, you can do it. And at that time, I thought, I'm going to kick off and fire that other voice, and I'm going to believe that other voice. And I went back to university. And I did it online, and I got straight A's. And that blew my mind. I thought, whoa, how many years did I think I was not smart enough? And it's all because I put that label around that was not true. It was a big, fat lie. And so, wow. Yeah, that was a big learning experience. Since then, I have achieved so much because I believe in myself, and I am not dumb.
Absolutely.
I'm not a Dumbrell. I'm not a Dumbrell, which is my last name. I am a Smartrell.
I love that. That is cool. That's amazing.
Yes.
And I have to say, I can really, really relate to that, Sherri, because I had, you know, I've had kind of a similar belief. I never went to uni. I watched my brother go to uni and get his honours degree, but I never felt smart enough to do it because I never got the good grades at school. And it wasn't until I was about 35 years old when I went back to higher education. I ended up getting a diploma in business. And, you know, recently I've done a lot of study. I've got another qualification and I'm 48. And I just think, and you know, it's the same. Isn't it amazing how we all of a sudden realize in our adulthood, we just go, wait a minute, why have I been telling myself for so many years that I'm not smart enough or whatever it is?
Yes, yes. And I got did business management, and it was via the States online. But then just before Christmas, I did a Cert 4 in business management in Australia. So that's my first formal academic ones here. I mean, I am a certified spending planner, and that's training. Yep. But I was so proud of that when that thing came in the mail, you know, and my kids were like, yes, mother. So I love to learn. I seek learning continually. I just love to learn.
Isn't it amazing? And yes, that's exactly right. Once you start, you realize how much fun it is to do because we never I think in school while we're growing up too, and even in uni, we never see it as fun. It's actually something that we have to do. But in the mature, you know, when we mature, and it's the difference that we get to decide to do it. And that's when I think that's when the fun comes into it, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. And my daughter said, Sherri, Mom, you're spending too much time on your assignments. You should be able to do that in a few hours. And I'd spend like 12. And I said, wow. The difference between you, a young one, and me, a old one, is I'm doing this because I want to learn the information, not to get a good mark. It's a totally different studying. I'm doing this because I want to learn, not how I can cheat the system.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, Sherri, I love it. That is so cool. So tell us then, is there a specific time in your life that you've maybe, you know, it's been a little bit difficult and you've had to rise above the situation?
Yes. Having 5 children, and after the third one, which was way unexpected, I developed PMDD. Now, if you don't know what that is, that's premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And
Wow.
it is severe PMS. So there's PMS, which most women get a few days or maybe a week before their period. They might feel some physical, discomfort or maybe some emotional. For me, that PMDD, it lasts between 6 to 8 weeks. So it actually starts, for me, it was at ovulation. It would go through the next menstruation, the next ovulation to the next menstruation. Oh. And it was not physical, it was all mental. It was anxiety, which made me feel very overwhelmed in my life. It very irritable, depression, fatigue. I slept, my kids still talk, Mom, me and my naps, because I just was tired. Plus I was sometimes so overwhelmed that I just go lock myself in the room. And I suffered for that for about 15 years. And now I'm in the, the older age where I'm, get a bit hot sometimes, quite often. And so that kind of has gone. But that was a real struggle because there was about 4 times a year, I was out of action. And so I had to learn how to rise above it. And the first thing that I had to realize is I had to be kind to myself. I knew it because I'm a very highly passionate and highly effective, and I love getting things done. And when those times came, it wasn't me. And I would beat myself up because I'd try, or if I just try a little bit harder, but it was a physiological hormonal thing. So I had to learn to be kind to myself. And I had to think, if I had a friend who had this, would I be sitting there and saying, come on, snap out of it, just get up and do something? No, I wouldn't. I would be compassionate to them. And so I had to learn how to be compassionate to myself during those times because I knew it would lift. It was like that heavy cloud. And I could actually say on Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., that cloud lifted. And then I was back to normal. And then I just felt like I wanted to conquer the world because I'd lost 8 weeks. And so that was a huge one, really big, but I learned how to manage it. Just like anything that we have to just learn how to manage it and be kind to yourself.
Oh, that is such an important message, yeah. And in anything, specific, and particularly for something like that, which I have no comprehension of how overwhelming that must have been at times. But, it is important, 2 things there. It is important that as women, this is what this group is all about, is bringing the attention back to ourselves and our own self-care, and what was the other thing I was going to say? I have totally forgotten. That's okay. I'm sure we'll come back to it.
I see to robot mode.
Sorry?
During those times, I had to go into robot mode. A robot, you just program it and just tell it to do it. So I just tried not to think. There were things, I had 5 children. I had to do things. And so I just had to turn off the brain and just do it, not think. Because, of course, when you're like that, your thinking is what gets you even more anxiety, more depressed. So I had to just listen to some uplifting music while I was working to get through those very basic things each day. I didn't accomplish anything huge, but my kids were alive at the end of the day, and they had somewhat of a nutritious meal, and they had clean clothes, and I was happy with that.
That is amazing. And that'll just come back to me. That was the other thing I was going to say, isn't it amazing as women how adaptable we can be to any and every situation? Imagine, as I said, I can only imagine what you were experiencing yourself. And like you said, you're a mum of 5, you're a wife, you still had to do things and adapt to your situation. So I think that is an incredibly powerful message to our members, is that no matter what, we can adapt to it. We're powerful, and it is all about bringing it back to your own self-care and looking after yourself first. So
that's right. Just putting one in the front of the other. When you're feeling like that, you don't want to think long term, because that will keep you. You have to think, just do one step at a time and turn that brain off. Just one more step, now one more step. And then you end up looking back and thinking, wow, I've traveled a long way. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Wow, that's amazing. All right, so Sherii, then if you can go back and maybe speak to a younger version of yourself, where would you go to and what would you tell yourself?
Okay. Well, when I think about when I started my business, I would say, because that's where I really became my own. I mean, I've always been a confident person, but yeah, I was confident in anything motherhood. And so for me, it would be, it's okay to be visible. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to show your weaknesses. That's okay, because that's how people relate. And whenever people would say, oh, Sherii, you've accomplished this, and you know, they always thought that I was very accomplished, even as a mom of 5. And I would be prompted to tell them of my weaknesses. It's like, okay, but let me show you. Let me, you know, because I never wanted anyone to feel any less of themselves because they thought that I was better than them. And so I would always be totally authentic with them and share what I went through, that what they see is not always what I am, you know? And so that would be, you know, it's to be, to be visible, to ignore the naysayers. There's so many naysayers in our lives that say, oh, you can't do that. And, you know, and sometimes they're the closest people around you, and you have to be able to, And so I wish at times I didn't listen to them as much and play big. You know, I think we doubt our ability, as we're just this little, and we don't even see ourselves as an expert. And so why would anybody else even want to talk to us? That's even more of an expert. And I've learned, and even this last few weeks, you play big. You go to those big wigs and you just ask them a question, and you send them an email, and hey, guess what? The only thing they can say is, well, when they just won't say anything, they won't return your email, or they'll just say, oh, sorry. Or they will say a big yes. And that is so exciting. And so we are only as big as we think we are. So I wish I would have felt more big back then. And then at times I just lost my passion. I got so caught up in the nitty gritty of what I was doing that I forgot the passion of why I was doing it.
Right.
And so I when I talk about what I do, I get very excited.
You do.
Because I do love what I do. And I make money fun. People usually think, and that's why we don't, budget is a bad word in my business, because we don't do budgets, because we're spenders. We're happy spenders, and we have a spending plan, because that's what money is. We're in control of money. It's not the other way around. And so, I just, that's what I would tell myself. And I would, number one, I would tell my younger self, thank you.
Aww.
Thank you. All those systems you created, all that time that you put in, that you weren't getting much out financially, but you were setting up. Because now, today, 4 years on, I'm enjoying those systems and thinking, thank goodness I did that back then, because I have others I'm doing now. And so, I would just say a big thank you. And thank you for continuing one day at a time and keeping to that long-term vision.
Oh, Sherii, that's amazing. And I have to say that's something that, you know, I don't hear people say often, that they would go back and thank their younger selves. That's incredible. Yeah, and absolutely, you know, for so many reasons that I probably don't have time to go into here. But really, really important things to be telling yourself, you know, from, you know, when you go back, and if you could go back and say that. So let's go in the other direction now. Let's look at 10 years in the future. Where do you anticipate, or not anticipate, let's put it in a, you know, positive sense, where will you be and what will you be doing?
Yes. Well, I had someone come and visit my husband the other day, and he's an acquaintance, but I don't really know him. And he goes, oh, you're because I was starting to talk about, I don't know what money must come up. He goes, oh, that's right, you're the finance lady. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm being seen, I'm visible.
I love that.
And I guess I did add him. Yeah, I had added him as a Facebook friend probably in the last month. And so he's seen me be visible, that he knew I was the finance lady. Now, you know, that seems a bit boring, but I thought, no, I mean, I am known as someone who's, you know, teaches about money. But I want to be even more, that really when people think about when they're having that money stress, I want them to think of me. And I do have lots of people who do think of me. And so when husbands and wives or partners are having a little thing, I want one of them or both of them to think, we need to contact Sherri. We need some more help. So yeah, so that's what I would like, is just to be known. I would like to have a team. I'm in the process of getting, you know, first people into help me out, because it's getting quite busy and there's lots of things to do. And so, yeah, I will have a team. I would have empowered many more women. I love working with women because, unfortunately, generally, the men will take care of finances in relationships, and then they may not always be honest. And I'm not saying, and sometimes it's the reverse. I've seen it in reverse, but they will be not honest and not educate their wives about finances, and then something happens to them. Like, yeah, I had one, her husband had a brain injury, and all of a sudden the phone's going off the hook. He's in a coma. She had no clue on how to take care of the finances because he took care of them. And so I love to empower women and men, whoever is the weakest link in the finances in a relationship, that they need to be educated about how their finances is. So if anything happens with the other partner, they don't have to just deal with the grief. They will then have to have that added stress of, how do I pay a bill? And so,
yeah, you know what? That actually, as you're saying that, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about, you know, I'm thinking about my situation, and I'm thinking, wow, actually, in my relationship, I'm the one that, you know, looks after the finances. All of a sudden, I had this thought: oh, what if something? Not that it will, but what if something was to happen to me? My Craig wouldn't have any idea. That's a very good point.
Yes. Yeah, and it's as simple as getting on Zoom, or I use Loom. And if you do it online, just do a little video for your husband. You know, often we see people who they know they're going to die, so they write a letter to their children or their spouse. Just do a little video and just know that he knows where it is. And so that at least he can look through it and watch you tell him how to pay a bill or how to withdraw money. Or I'm sure they're good at withdrawing money. But yeah, and I empower women, and that's why I started my journey 5 years ago. Is my husband, I've been a stay-at-home mom, and he's taking care of me, and I don't need to work, but he also has a chronic disease. He has diabetes, and he had a scare recently, and it's like, you know, I have to be self-reliant financially. I can't depend on my husband all the time. He could be hit by a car too in the front of my house and not make it. And then what am I going to do? And so I really like to empower women. We all individually need to become financially self-reliant, so that we don't have to the government or other people.
Absolutely, 100% agree. I think that is a powerful message. There's lots of powerful messages you're putting out there today. So lastly then, do you have a piece of advice? I mean, you've already given us a lot. Do you have another piece of advice that you would like to share specifically with the ladies in this group, maybe?
Yes, and it would be seek learning continually. When I had my 5 kids, now I would have loved to go back. I mean, that was when I still thought I was dumb. And I thought, oh, I'd love to do that. But then, of course, the money, you know, it's very tight when you're raising a family. But with YouTube, oh my gosh, there's so many things you can learn. There's so many free ways to continue to learn. Webinars, you know, the amount of webinars I've been on, free webinars about anything you want to learn. Someone's doing a webinar, and you can get lots of information. And so spend your time learning, you know, in those moments that you can find, instead of becoming a Netflix addict. That's one thing that as a young mom, I did watch a lot of TV, and then I realized this is getting me nowhere. And so now my time is learning, usually on a screen, but I'm learning something. And so update your skills, keep your skills updated, so that when it's time to go back into the workforce, if you choose to do that, that you have that confidence and you're kind of up to date. And any things that you learn in business, you can use those same skills to be a better mom. You know, we use Excel to create when we get our family gatherings for our meals and who brings what. I mean, there's lots of things that you can use current and use it actually for your family.
Oh, absolutely. There's so much of that stuff out there. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, yes.
So,
yeah, keep learning.
Keep learning.
Keep learning, because knowledge is power. Yeah. And, you know, ignorance is bondage. So get out of bondage, learn, and get passionate. Get passionate about whatever. Find what you are passionate about and just stay passionate and follow that.
Totally agree. Can totally 150% agree with that, because I'm on and have been on that journey myself. So as I said, I can really relate to you saying that. So thank you for that. Now, lastly, Sherii, this is promotion day in the group. So you've been sharing a little bit with us about what you do. Do you have maybe a link or something where you can direct the ladies to if they would like to find out more about what you do and possibly work with you? Do you have something to share with us?
Yes, well, I have my business page. My business is, which you'll see up there, is Essential Spending Planner. So if you just type in Sherri Dumbrell or Essential Spending Planner, that's my business page. I do have a group which is called Happy Spenders Beyond Budgeting, because I teach a spending plan which goes way beyond budgeting. Budgeting is just income and expenses. A spending plan includes timing of your income and expenses, and it's the vital missing link of budgets, and it makes all the difference. And so it's Happy Spenders Beyond Budgeting. And I also have a free financial fitness checkup that I can put the link below. And it also comes with a little ebook. And see how financially fit you are. Are you fit or are you flabby? And ways that you can become fit. As well as I'm a big advocate in teaching your children. You know, our children will become money managers, but it's up to us as a parent whether our kids will become a good money manager or a bad money manager. And it's all at how we manage our money. So I empower people and parents. I love working with parents to teach them how to do their finances, which is, you know, a short-term thing, because I'm an educator. Number one, I teach them, and then I say, teach your children. Don't have your children fall into the debt trap. You know, I work with even some young couples who already have a lot of debt, and when debt comes in the door, the love sometimes goes out the door. So empower your kids.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
So lots of offers.
Thank you so much, Sherii, for coming on and sharing every single thing that you have spoken with us about today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And I'll say, you know, thank you to Sherri Smartbrell. Do you like that? I like it. I got it. And so, yes, if you would like to get in touch with Sherii, those details will be going up in the comments right now as we speak. And again, I say this at the end of all our shows. If you would like to be a guest on Tuesday Chats with Ali, if you are in business and you'd like to come and share about yourself and your business, if you are not in business and you would like to come and share your story, tell us about yourself. We would absolutely love to hear from you as well, because that is what this group is all about. You know, it's not just a business group, it's a life group for women. So we would love to hear from you. Get in touch with us, send me a PM if you'd like to be a guest on the show. And once again, thank you so much, Sherii, for coming on today. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you so much, Ali.
Thank you, ladies. We will see you again next week. And take a look, just before I go, sorry, we have a very special event coming up next week. It will be getting announced later today, but it is very exciting. So we have a very special Tuesday Chats for you next week. So the information about that is coming up very shortly. All right, everyone, we'll see you next week. Bye.